back earlier in my career, but then it died down. But while I was at Energy, I did feel like AI was really gonna take off, and I spent a lot of time, we had the national labs, and the national labs were already utilizing AI to a great extent. I did realize that that was gonna happen, and I felt like it would happen. But what I didn't expect is that generative AI would emerge as it did, where there's such a dependency today and reliance on generative AI. I felt like that it would be more strategically adopted when generative AI really started to hit the surface and take off. I felt like that organizations were started to adopt.
Where you can also generate social ready 9 by 16 ratio videos directly within portrait mode. This is built for mobile first use cases, and you can produce faster results with better framing since it generates full frame vertical videos instead of cropping from landscape. And finally, you also have higher resolution output. With VO 3.1, it delivers cleaner, sharper 1080p videos, and it can even generate full 4K videos, which is going to give you professional grade results straight inside your workflow. All of these capabilities are fully free for you to actually access directly within the studio, and you can even access it through the Gemini API and Vertex AI for enterprise use. Just take a look at this demo app, which was built directly within the AI studio. This is a type motion demo that transforms the text phrases into cinematic motion typography using two-step.
Like, what are the adverse implications? What are the consequences? And how do I mitigate the impact so that it doesn't have adversarial outcomes for my organization? And if we don't have risk takers, we go nowhere in society.
Really interesting. So then back to red teaming. Where do you see the biggest missed opportunities for red teaming in enterprise environments, especially outside traditional security teams?
I think aside from the fact that I said that they tend to lead that to the cybersecurity experts, the organizations need to look at red teaming as something that can happen by anyone within an organization. So it should be embraced, and we
Mhm.
don't embrace it today, right? So I think
Type motion demo that transforms the text phrases into cinematic motion typography using two-step generative workflows. And you can see the quality of content that it's capable of generating, which also has sound. Just take a listen. Now, isn't that amazing? You can enter in your content, choose a text style, and you can provide a reference image. And then the app is able to call the Gemini 3 Pro image model and the VO 3.1 model together to reimagine your prompt so that it.
The context window is arguably the scarcest resource in AI today, but we don't seem to manage it well. In fact, that's probably why we have a new discipline called context engineering to address this. Today, when we build a context window, we focus on concepts, objects, and nouns predominantly. Now, these concepts, they pin meaning, which is absolutely critical, but the missing link isn't more concepts or more data. It's actually being able to capture the rules, the policies that run the business and get those things into the context window. We believe that policies need to be first-class citizens in the context window. And here's the challenge, John, when we're thinking about agents. We see a world where in every enterprise, we're going to have hundreds, thousands in the context window. And here's the challenge, John, when we're thinking about agents. We see a world where in every enterprise, we're going to have hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of agents. And if we don't figure out how to do this well, then these agents that consume the context window are going to cause us a lot of problems. Welcome to the Agentic Mesh podcast. My name is Eric Broda in Toronto, Canada.
And I'm John Miller in San Francisco.
And today's topic is policies and their related decision boundaries as first-class citizens in context engineering, John.
Okay, well, you know how I like to set it up with a bit of definitions up front. As soon as somebody generates a standard operating procedure, unless they're meticulous and they make sure it's exactly right, then you're just feeding more garbage into the context window. And so I think it could be a very self-reinforcing bad way to generate policy documents.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the truth of the matter is we're going about it in the wrong order if we're doing that. So you and I both know this, right? If you provide 40% or 50% of the picture, LLMs are absolutely fantastic improvisers, and they'll fill in the blanks. So when you're creating your standard, when the AI is taking too forward a role in creating a standard operating procedure, you're going to get improvisations that sound good but aren't good.
Not necessarily. As for example, the example we were talking about before, imagine like a task runner kind of thing. You log in, you have the identity, you have like a kind of traditional dashboard where you list your connectable apps, Slack, Gmail, Google Calendar, whatever. And the user does that once, just once. So once these are connected, you give the agent client, well, not double quote, it's the agent client, access to those apps. So every time, so the user, next time that connects to the chat, that's it. You don't need to run all this thing again. It's already done. It's the relationship has been established already. So the
user that one decorator, but built in, we can go to /docs. And when we go to /docs, we have this API documentation here. And this is an interactive Swagger UI that's automatically generated from our code. We didn't have to configure anything or write any documentation ourselves. It just works. And we can see that we get our route listed here. So if I click on this route to expand it, then we can try it out in our browser. So we can see that we have this try it out button here. If I click on that, then it will allow us to execute. Now, if we were to have any parameters here, then it would let us fill those in here. But we don't have any parameters, so I could just execute this now. And we can see here that it gives us all kinds of cool information here. So it gives us
is I think the core role of ICE, particularly in a world where we want to enable lots of business units and super groups across Canva. We learned this in the last few years in the more traditional automation, deterministic kind of core traditional automation platforms. You can move a lot quicker and build a lot more if you're decentralized and empowering other teams to build. IT will help you build. IT may build some solutions ourselves, but ultimately we have a very innovative culture where people are able to solve their problems, largely for themselves. And so that's where more of that kind of platform governance, thinking about the right data so that we can be confident about the use cases that we're productionizing comes in.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Expanding on the production front. So on the security and data governance side, what are some of the key requirements for agents early on? And have these evolved as kind of adoption has grown internally?
Our different systems that we use internally. We also had to go through security teams to make sure that all the connections were compliant. We needed to work with our content team to make sure that whatever would be produced by the AI agents would fit our brand guidelines, and then had to review this with comms. So it was really a big team effort. And to do all of this, so we kind of built within the marketing org an AI pod, which takes essentially resources from all those different teams. So we now have subject matter expert from comms, subject matter experts from content, subject matter experts from our MAT automation team, subject matter experts from IS, and all these teams are now kind of working together as a squad to build our use cases and drive the value.
AI tooling that services this one piece, and then you get this sort of proliferation of licensing and then the nightmare across that. So I think the ability to be vendor agnostic and the ability to scale across a breadth of function is actually a really key feature of what you've got. And that sort of, I don't want to be locked in, and I don't want to have hundreds of these tools that do this. I've got to pay for this tool to do this bit and this tool to do that bit. That's definitely a blocker for an executive mindset.
Yeah, the sprawl of all these toolings. Yeah, that's why I guess Relevance AI, we decided to go horizontal and not vendor locked. What factors are most important to a successful AI implementation from your perspective?
For me, I think, my perspective now, my opinion is that.
But actually, help our reps, save 15 minutes every day prepping for a call with a new prospect, or write that follow-up email. They seem basic, but really high impact, and then it kind of builds that momentum and appetite for more.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's fantastic. And then you recently created a dedicated go-to-market AI lead role within the team, which a lot of companies are actually following suit on that we're observing. What prompted you to create the role, and what's their sort of central objective?
Yeah, I love that. I think what prompted it was really the kind of state we were in before, which was a lot of appetite, a lot of different, the roadmap was kind of evolving, but really, really hard to make concerted impact without someone whose sole job was to get through all the blockers, block and tackling basically, and have this sole focus. Because
on value and pricing. Right now, on screen, you're able to see the companies that currently offer a heavy subscription. And that is a subscription that's in the 3 figures, so above $100 every single month. Now, unless you're a complete power user, you won't actually be using these subscriptions because you don't just use AI that much to justify this absurd cost. But for some users, it does actually make sense on a day-to-day basis. Now, what I'm showing you here is 3 different companies that all have the different subscriptions. You can see on the left-hand side, I've got ChatGPT, which has the $200 a month subscription. And in this subscription, it's pretty decent. And all of these, I'm going to just quickly go through them. All of them are pretty good. But when I show you what Google has to offer, it just doesn't even come close. So for ChatGPT, you get, pro reasoning with GPT-5. You get unlimited messages and uploads, unlimited and faster image creation. You get maximum memory and context. You get, extended internal memo to all OpenAI employees declaring a code red. Now, for those of you who don't know, code red for a tech company is speak for drop everything, we have an emergency. All hands on deck, the building is on fire. Now, what was that emergency? Google. Google launched Gemini 3 and it was getting incredible reviews. People were switching to Gemini. ChatGPT's traffic was declining and OpenAI panicked. Sam Altman literally told the employees to stop what they were working on and focus on making ChatGPT better almost immediately. They've since rushed out updates, accelerated their release schedule, and they've pushed out new features as fast as possible. And here's the thing, they're still in code red mode now. This is not a temporary panic, this is sustained fear. When was the last time you heard Google declaring a code red about OpenAI? Google search, 3 billion people use it every single day, and that's not a typo, that's 3 billion with a B. Now, Gemini is baked right into Google search. If you search for something, Google's AI can jump in and help you automatically. You don't need to go anywhere else. Now, for Gmail, almost 2 billion users, and Gemini is integrated directly into Gmail now. You can ask it to summarize your emails, write responses, find specific information from your inbox, and it's there inside the app you're already using. Google Docs, over 1 billion users, and Gemini is built right in. If you're writing a document, you need help, boom, AI assistant is right there on the page. No switching, no apps, no new tabs. And YouTube has 2.7 billion monthly users, and YouTube is already starting to integrate AI features. And remember, Google owns YouTube, another amazing distribution channel. Not to mention Android phones, 3 billion devices worldwide, and Google's making Gemini the default assistant on Android starting in 2026. So that means every single Android user in the world will have Gemini built into their phone by
Hey guys, in today's video, we will be doing a deep dive analysis of Riot platforms. We had great news that was announced where Riot is now partnered with AMD. They got an ink deal signed that was announced yesterday, and they are executing very fast with revenues soon to start up. Even in this month with AMD, we'll go through the latest updates, what this means for the company, as well as covering technical analysis, price predictions. Now, if you're new to this channel, you believe in the use case, I would really appreciate hitting the like, subscribing, and why I believe Riot is going to be the next Iron 2.0 in the year 2026. Let's begin, guys.
Coming in as a proven developer and executor is a lot easier than being an unproven developer and executor.
406 million total cash. They have, less than like $2 billion worth of Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So it really gives Riot the wiggle room, the ability to make some power moves, especially with the amount of liquid that they have. I mean, Bitcoin is a very liquid, asset, and they're able to, leverage, tap into their balance sheet, see how they can move their liquid to really expand on their portfolio. This is what's so unique about Riot when you compare it with other companies. You have companies like Iron where they don't have, Bitcoin on their balance sheet. They use all their revenue, put it into AI, which is also a great strategy as well. But when you see this two-pronged approach, it really allows for Riot to establish itself. And let's say Bitcoin prices start to
specific email. You can get calendar events, list, create, get, update, delete, everything like that. It's $5 a month just for the hosting costs and everything like that. And the best part is it's fully open source. So if you want to go and add Microsoft support or some other vague third-party plugin or something like that, and you implement a feature, then I'll give you free access type of thing. And I just shipped this. Like, look at the Git commit. Let's see. Let me refresh this. 17 hours ago, 1 hour ago. That doesn't look accurate. I just shipped some stuff. The last thing is like right now. But yeah, so I built that. Another thing I built that's fully open source is what you are probably most notoriously, what I'm most notoriously known for is inbound. And this will be a fun thing for chat because we got a live chat right here. Everyone, this is the homepage. I didn't log into the account. I am logged in, but this is like a real thing. See this email address right here, chat? Let me use your accounts. And that was just abusing the hell out of the service. And it was just so bad. So I did a couple of things where I, one, removed the free tier. That was probably one of the most controversial things that I did in 2025 at the tail end, because inbound had been around for about 9 months. And I had maybe like 8 paying customers. And the paying customers were great. They weren't abusing limits or anything like that. And it was just the free tier users that were just abusing everything. And it was just making the platform unsustainable. And obviously, I'm not VC backed. I don't have any sort of investment into this. And I'm just trying to make this a solid stack choice for anyone who can bet their entire project on this, that this will be around for the future type of thing. So I don't want someone to be able to sign up for a pro plan and then inbound disappear within a year or something like that. I want something sustainable. So I got rid of the free plan, replaced it for a $4 a month plan, which made the entire project so much more sustainable. Probably one of the most controversial things that I did in 2025 at the tail end, because inbound had been around for about 9 months. And I had maybe like 8 paying customers, and the paying customers were great. They weren't abusing limits or anything like that. And it was just the free tier users that were just abusing everything. And it was just making the platform unsustainable. And obviously, I'm not VC backed. I don't have any sort of investment into this. And I'm just trying to make this a solid stack choice for anyone who can bet their entire project on this, that this will be around for the future type of thing. So I don't want someone to be able to sign up for a pro plan and then inbound disappear within a year or something like that. I want something sustainable. So I got rid of the free plan, replaced it for a $4 a month plan, which made the entire project so much more sustainable. All of the server bills and fees and stuff like that are paid. Like, hey, is this kind of sketchy? So then I can get a Slack notification whenever something occurs. And then if we have time, the other biggest feature that I launched was Inbound Guard, which I'm sure all of you guys know from your regular inboxes and emails and stuff like that, is you can set up like explicit rules, like if Orkev emails me from email address, route it to this folder type of thing. But that's good. But what if someone leaks your email address when you're going to go speak at a Vercel conference and the Vercel CEO did something very controversial and you are now getting spammed over and over and over again, up to 6,000 individual emails a day? And let me, if you could hide my screen really quick, OrcDev, while I navigate to my email.
Emails which are either spoofed or the names are clearly faked, so like they're generated with AI as well. So anyway, apart from that, 2025 was pretty good. If we go on the Nux blog, I posted a recap, as everybody did at the end of the year, of the things that I did in 2025 regarding to Nux. And essentially, when I started at the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, it was going well, but it really started exploding when I started doing conferences. And being able to speak about my work was like really the highlight of 2025 for me, because it allowed me to meet a lot of people. So I went to React Paris, met Kenzie Dodds, Tejas, David K. Piano from the State Machines, and a lot of people, Dominic TK Dodo from 10stack as well.
As a customer, killing weeds and they sell guns for hunting, and poison is like weed poison. So this notion of a blanket, like you can't use AI, you can't ask these kind of questions, it gets really nuanced in ways that, if you're a large rural retailer, enablement means my employees and customers need to be asked about these kind of things, which would be really scary if I'm like a Manhattan bank. So the ability to build guardrails that are smart and understand intention, whether those are from people to apps or agents trying to do things to apps, like we've built that. And that is where we think the win comes from. It's enabling is letting your business work on AI versus no, you can't ask that, you can't do that.
Would you consider this kind of like a white glove service? Like, are you helping each company, each enterprise almost find
critical space again, as we talked about, is how do we enable AI usage and agentic usage, but within the same, safety framework of the enterprise? We think that's a big business problem. We think the TAM for that is going to be pretty huge. And then the third that we probably see 99% of the investment opportunities, really hard to find the right ones, is the application of AI for efficiency and automation. And so every sort of cyber approach that you hear, whether it be a SOC analyst getting more efficient or whether it be, finding issues in code that are more impactful to the company, data security with high accuracy. So there's kind of the application of AI to create accuracy, fidelity, and automation. And you have to be really careful to pick the investment opportunities that have a business impact, not because they're technologically cool.
In the summer here in Pennsylvania, like you look at Pennsylvania as a state, the natural resources and the gas that it has, the ability to build out, tie in EOS batteries with gas-fired power generation, bring data centers here and make this another U.S. success story.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Joe, we'll be watching the company and certainly your work. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Maria. Have a good day.
And to you, Joe Mastrangelo.